So it's Monday and I don't have a job to go to because I got fired from my third job within a year, and I just need to debrief that with somebody. First off, hi, my name is Jaya. Welcome back to my channel. We talk about all things money, finance, and entrepreneurship. Okay. Cool. So why are we here? Okay. Where do I even start? So let's start with the first job. So the first job, I was working as a front desk receptionist for a medical clinic, and I got fired for that job I got fired from that job for a couple of reasons, I assume. So my first reason is I'm gonna tell you the truth, okay? I can take accountability for when I'm wrong, okay? I am a tardy girl. Okay, I had to be to work at 8:30 every single day, and I was consistently showing up at 8:35, 8:36, 8:37, and I'm just like, look, okay, yes, I am wrong for showing up late, but like, I live in DFW and I don't take the tolls, okay? I can't control the traffic. I'm not an air traffic controller. I cannot control school zones and school buses and construction, and it just, okay. It's the truth. Okay, I'm a tardy person. I'm working on it. Okay. The second reason I got fired from that job was from eating at my desk, which I don't, to get into it really, with me being a front desk receptionist, my desk is the front desk, and then you have all my other coworkers with their desk in the back. So I had rules that I had to follow that my coworkers did not have to follow, simply because I was front facing and client facing. And while I knew in my brain, you know what I mean, that obviously you accepted the job of being a receptionist, so you're going to have different rules than people who are not receptionists, it still bothered me every single day. So I would come into work and I would see my coworkers, you know, having a snack at their desk, having lunch at their desk, eating breakfast at their desk, like they didn't have to rush and eat breakfast at home because they could just come to work and eat breakfast at their desk. And that would really frustrate me because I'm just like, why do they get to do it and I don't? That's very annoying. But when they asked me to stop eating, I did. But because they asked me to stop eating when I got to work 5 minutes late, I would go eat. I would ask one of my coworkers, another one of my coworkers who was on my team, to watch the front desk, and then I would go in the break room and eat. I timed myself. I would not take longer than 3 to 4 minutes to finish eating, from start to finish. But like, apparently my boss did not like that, even though she didn't say anything about it. I'm assuming that's also another one of the reasons. Another reason, I can't think. It was just like a bunch of little stuff. Primary reason, of course, was being late. So on September 18th, 2023, I come into work and I'm a human being, okay? So I have survival instincts. So I just knew something was off. I'm like, something doesn't feel right in the air. And my boss, one of my managers, had kind of like a little chip on her shoulder. She was like, I was getting a little cold shoulder-ish, you know what I mean? And I worked for a couple hours. My main boss, my two other managers in HR asked me to come into their office, and I was like, hello. And they were like, yeah, so things are falling behind. We've had this conversation before. Today is going to be your last day working at the center. And I was like, things are falling behind? Like, what do you mean? So at this medical center, they had a, let's say, call log. And if I'm not going into too much, you know, detail about what was going on about certain things, because I'm not trying to get sued, and a lot of these places are close to home, like physically close to my house, and I'm not trying to dox myself, okay? And so there was a call log, right, that they would use to get in touch with their clients. And I, being the receptionist responsible, obviously, for text messages, because I can't pick up the phone and call people because I am a receptionist and this is a medical facility, so I can't be talking about people's medical stuff while I'm sitting in front of clients. Do you know what I mean? So the text messages were always taken care of. I had no problem doing that every single day, like clockwork. I made sure I did my text messages, but the phones couldn't do that. So I reached out to two of my higher ups on two separate occasions and was like, hey, the call log is getting backed up. We're about 6 pages behind because I can't physically do the calls. I need you guys to take care of it. And on two separate occasions, both of them said, yes, we will take care of it. Thanks for letting us know. I'm like, okay, cool. So when they called me into the office and was like, things are falling behind, I was like, what do you mean things are falling behind? I reached out to two of my managers on 2 separate days, and they both said that they would take care of it. And they're like, oh, well, we'll look into that. But primarily it was after we discussed that, it was being late and apparently going back and forth to my car. Look, I can take accountability when accountability is due. Okay, I do not like fluorescent lighting. I say that as I'm sitting in front of fluorescent lighting. Okay, so let's say I work 8:30 to 12. I work 8:30 and I take a lunch at 12. I would take like not a break, but I would go to my car to get my charger in between that time. And then from 12 to 5, I would go to my car to get my jacket or something like that. And that's simply because I am not meant to sit at a computer and stare and process information for 8 hours a day. I need to go outside. I need to breathe fresh air. I need to feel the sun light on my eyelids. I can't. Like, I will literally go stir crazy. Like, I can't do it. But apparently they didn't like that when I went back and forth to my car. I couldn't do it. Like, I'm like, in order for me to be here, I need to step outside. It wouldn't take longer than 2 minutes, but apparently they didn't like that. But I asked them in the meeting, I'm like, is the quality of my work bad? And they said no. But yeah, that was the first job, and that happened on September 28th. And so the second job, God was so good. I wasn't even unemployed for like 2-3 weeks. I got another job working at a cold calling sales representative type of situation. Okay, and I did that from October to February, and during that time, y'all, I gave it my all. I tried my best. This is my first time ever working in sales. Okay, my whole life, basically from the time I was 16 up until this point, I was about 23. I had always did customer service, and I was so done with front facing customer service, client facing roles. Okay, I'm like, I need to do something different. So I applied for jobs in sales and marketing. And so I got a job working in sales, and I was convinced in my head that I was gonna do such a good job. Like, I was gonna make so much money. Oh my gosh, idiot. No, it was so bad. I literally only closed 2 deals from from October to February. And by the time I got to February, I was only making $15 an hour. It was a 1099 position and there was no benefits. And so I was like, yeah, I need to find a new job because this is not cutting it. This is not paying the bills. I just moved into another apartment. I'm like, nah. And so I was literally about to quit, but my boss had called me into his office and he had told me that the HR and recruiting person for the company was about to leave. They moved. And so he asked me, did I want that position? Now, I had no experience at this time in HR and recruiting, but apparently, even though I was really bad at sales, he took note of my work ethic, not me gassing myself up. Okay, this is what he said. He took note of my work ethic and asked me if I wanted the position. And because I was already about to quit, I just said, yeah. It was an increase in pay. And I just was like, yeah. So I did HR and recruiting from February to September. Oh my gosh. And in the beginning, it was really, really good. Up until about June, they hired a new VP, and the VP came from what I assume. He came from corporate, but like, it was a smaller company of like 26 people in total maybe, and he came from like corporate where they have like hundreds of employees. So a lot of the processes that they would do at his company, he tried to implement them there. And I was the only HR person there. So I feel like when you're the only person in your department, you know the ins and outs of your department. So it was very confusing when they would say things like, yeah, we're relying on you. We're relying on you to tell us what's going on with recruiting. But then they would ask me to do things that were unproductive. It was unproductive work. If that makes sense. Like, for example, I was required to book 10 interviews per day and produce a new hire class of 5 to 10 new employees twice a month, essentially, because if you know anything about sales and cold calling, the attrition rate is atrocious. Okay, they cannot keep an employee for 2 weeks. Like, I'm so serious. Like, it was so discouraging. I would literally have a new hire class of like 10 people, and by the end of the 2 weeks, like seven of those people would be gone, because that's how bad sales is. Like, it's just like that. And so he would ask me to upload all of the resumes for the interviews for that day to like a cloud system. And in my brain, I'm like, look, half of these interviews are not even going to show up. So now you're going to have resumes for people who are not even going to show up to their first interview sitting in our cloud system. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. But you know what? I do what I'm told. I did it. Okay, I did it. But after a while, I realized that they weren't using it. Of course they weren't using it, because there was no use for it, because these people are not even showing up. I took it upon myself to stop doing it, because that's unproductive work on top of the actual work that I do have to do. One day, September 19th, literally 1 year to the day of getting fired from the last job, they called me into their office and was like, Jaya, today is going to be your last day working here. And I was like, what? what did I do? And they're like, today's gonna be your last day. And I'm like, what did I do? They're like, it's just a business decision. Today's gonna be your last day. And I'm like, can you tell me like what I did wrong? Like, is there a reason for this? Are you guys gonna replace me? Like, what happened? And they're just like, it's just a business decision. Now, pause, okay? Pause. So, oh, that's my foot. Sorry. A week before this happened, okay, there was a candidate who applied for this position. And when you're a recruiter, there's some people who don't really care. They just want a job. And then there's some people who really want to work for the company. And this was a candidate who really wanted to work for the company. And so he had been on 2 interviews and he was like really, really good at what he was doing. But they knew that they weren't going to hire him for a reason that was out of his control. And so they knew that they weren't going to hire him, right? But then they come to me a couple days after they make that decision, is like, hey, call that person and hire them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so excited for him because I know he really wanted the position. So it's the last thing I do. That's important. It's the last thing that I do, okay, before I go home for the day. That day, I call him, I offer the position, he's excited, and they pushed him out for a later start date, but there was a potential for him to have an earlier start date. So I make a note on my desk, this first thing that I'm gonna do when I get to work in the morning is I'm gonna ask my higher ups if I can offer this, call him and tell him that he can start earlier because he was really eager to start working. I come in first thing in the morning, my bosses are like, hey, we need you to resend the offer that you gave to him. I was like, what? What is that? Like, what does that mean? If you don't know, they explained it to me, so I'm gonna explain it to you. Resend the offer means take it back. So yesterday I called him, gave him the offer, so excited, ready to start. And then the next morning, they want me to email him and take the offer back. I was like, what? For the same reason that they weren't going to hire him in the first place. So why on earth did you offer him the position just to take it back? You should have just never hired him in the first place. Oh my gosh. And you all made that mistake and they wanted me to do the dirty work. They wanted me to send this email. So they tried, I guess they sensed that I was upset. So they tried to talk me out of it, like talk to me. And they basically told me to say in the email, okay, hey, thank you so much for the interest in the position. But after further consideration, we have made the business decision to pursue other candidates. Thank you. And we wish you the best. That's it in the email. Nothing else, no further explanation. Just say, yeah, it's just a business decision and move on. So rewind back to when they were firing me. They kept saying, it's just a business decision. It's just a business decision. I feel like they were doing that so they could understand, so I could understand, so they could say without saying it that, you know, it's nothing personal. I could sit here all day and think of all of the reasons why that prior job fired me. I was still tardy, okay? I was a tardy girl. I had to be to work at, they wanted me to be there at 8:45 just because they wanted me to show up at the same time as everybody else, but they were okay. I assume they were okay with me getting there at 9. Nobody ever said anything. Nobody ever said anything to me about tardiness or whatever. They did change my hours, but that was for something different. Nobody ever said anything about that. But yeah, I decided that there's no reason for me to sit here and just keep thinking over and over and over about all of the reasons that they could have fired me and just like pick myself apart like that, because they never gave me a reason other than the fact that it's just a business decision, whatever the hell that means. So the third job is that I got fired from on Friday. Today is Monday, so this happened a couple days ago. I worked there for all of 5 days, okay? So after I got fired from the last job on September 19th, 2024, 1 year to the date, 1 year and 1 day to the date of the other job, I was unemployed for 2 months. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. But no, it was fine, but it was bad. I'm like, I need a job. I applied for so many jobs, but I finally get a job. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's for an HOA management company. If you are not a homeowner and you don't know what an HOA is, those are the people who send you a $75 fine in the mail when your grass is 2 inches too tall or whatever. And so I started working there. And on my first day, this is what happens. The girl is like, hey, so if you want to take notes, you can. Just do whatever you want. You know, just do whatever you do, however you learn best or something like that. And I'm like, okay. Now with the last 2 jobs, in the beginning, when I first started, I took notes, but I realized that the notes weren't very helpful for me. And so by the time I get to this job, I'm very familiar with the way that I learn, and I learn best by repetition, doing the same thing over and over again. So that's how I was going to treat this job. I wasn't only going to take notes if they gave me like a password or a phone number or something like that. But I wasn't just going to write down every single thing that they said, because I know for me that was never helpful in the past. And so, and on top of that, she said it was never mandatory. Like she never said, hey, you need to take notes. She said, take notes, here's a pen. She's like, take notes if you want, here's a pen, and whatever helps you learn best and stuff. That's what she said. And so I'm going throughout the day. Remember, it's day 1, I'm learning. Day 2, I'm learning. This is a completely new industry for me. I've never worked in HOA before. And the job was for an office assistant. And so it wasn't like I was like a property manager or something. I was just an office assistant. My main role was supposed to be like answering the phones and filing paperwork and stuff like that. It wasn't like property management or anything. And so I'm learning day 1, learning day 2, learning day 3. I'm also answering the phones. And I kid you not, guys, every single time in the 3 days that I was answering the phones and I got off a phone call, even if I did something wrong, okay, obviously I'm not going to do everything right because it's my 3rd day. Every time I got off the phone, they would be like, oh, good job. Well, you could have did da-da-da-da-da-da, but good job. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm doing a good job. Awesome. So we get to day 4, right? Thursday. And I can sense that something is off, right? Because I'm a human being with survival instincts. So I'm just like, okay, like something is off, but I'm not gonna overthink. I'm just gonna show up and I'm gonna do my best because that's all I can do is my best with the knowledge that I have. So they're all in a meeting and the phone rings. I answer the phone call doesn't go very well. I couldn't really provide him with the most best and accurate information, but I did the best I could and I took down his name and number and I said, I will have somebody call you back when I have I'll follow up with you and when I can get better information for you. Cool. So they come out the meeting, I tell them what happens. I said, I took his name and number down and I said I will follow up with him. And they're like, and I can tell that they're like kind of upset with me. I don't know if I was never supposed to take the phone call in the first place. Was I supposed to let it go to voicemail? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to do my best and like show that I'm eager to work and I'm putting my best foot forward and I'm like here and I want to do well. Like that's I was unemployed for 2 months. So when I finally started working, I'm like, yes, I'm eager to work. Let's go. Let's do this. Like, let's go. Let's go. And so that's why I answered the phone. Maybe I wasn't supposed to answer the phone. I don't know. But after I come back from lunch, they tell this lady who works there, oh my gosh, I'm going to tell y'all what she did. Oh my gosh. And so this lady is like, we're concerned that you're not learning at the pace that you need to be learning to be successful at this job because you're not taking notes. I'm like, well, they never said that I had to take notes. Like, I'm just repetitively doing the same thing over and over again, and I thought that I would just get it like that. If you all are not concerned with me not taking notes, then I'll start taking notes, and that's literally what I did. By the end of the day, Thursday, I had pages full of notes, okay? And so, because I'm gonna do what you asked of me, because I've been unemployed for 2 months. I take notes, and while I'm taking notes, me and this lady are having a conversation, okay? And I'll get back to that conversation in a moment. So, Friday comes, once again, I can tell something is off. Somebody has a little chip on their shoulder. And I have come to the conclusion as I've gotten older, as I've worked through jobs, that if I can sense something is wrong, like that's just my instincts and that's telling me that something is wrong, but I'm not going to go out of my way to figure out what's wrong because I feel like if I'm in an environment with adults, if something is wrong, you can tell me. Like if something is wrong, you're gonna tell me. I'm not here to read your mind. I don't care what's going on inside your mind. I have my own responsibilities, my own thing going on in my life. If something is wrong, I'm going to express myself, and if I can't express myself, then I'm going to get rid of it because I don't feel like it's other people's responsibility to figure out what's going on inside of my mind. And so if somebody has like, if I can tell something is wrong, I'm like, something is wrong. Oh, well, I'm going to go on about my day and I'm going to sit in my little corner near my computer and I'm just going to do my best and hopefully everything just gets worked out. But I'm not going to be like, hey, is everything okay? Because I just feel like if something is wrong, you should say something. Or don't. I don't care. So yeah, I can tell something is wrong. And they knew that I really wanted to work on my notes because they told me, because they were so concerned that my main boss was going to check my notes on Monday because they were so concerned. Monday being today, okay? And so on Friday, I go in the computer and I go on Word and I type out all of my notes. I have them organized. I have a binder. I'm gonna go to Walmart over the weekend. I'm gonna take my work home. I'm gonna go to Walmart and I'm gonna get tabs and I'm gonna print everything out and it's gonna be organized. So when I hand this man my notebook binder on Monday, he's going to know that I'm not the one to play with. I came here to work. Okay. So Friday, I get off of work, I go home and I'm like, look, I had a rough week. It was kind of bumpy, but I know what they want from me. I know what the expectations are. They want notes, so I'm just going to do the notes and do my best. I get an email at 4 p.m. from the boss saying, hey, based off of your performance this week, we don't think that you're learning after 5 days. We don't think that you're learning at the pace that is needed to succeed at this job. And I also heard that you made comments that you thought that this would be an easy office job. So we no longer need you to come into the office on Monday today. We wish you the best and thank you so much for your interest in the company and blah, blah, blah. What? I was there for 5 days. You're basing my performance and my ability to grasp onto what you guys are doing after 5 days. What? So, regarding the comments about this being an easy office job, remember when I said on Thursday when that lady, okay, told me that they were concerned about me taking notes. She was telling me about how about this job, because apparently the week that I was working was a slower week. Okay. And so she was like, this job has been so stressful to me. This job has been so stressful that it has made me cry. I have cried at this job because it's been so stressful. And because she's sharing something so intimate with me, I didn't think that this conversation was going to be on the books, okay? And so I did share with her that I was very eager to work. I did share with her that I'm just really eager to get stuff down packed, and that's why I was answering the phones and I'm taking the initiative to do a lot of stuff. Maybe I was doing a little bit stuff too early and messing stuff up, but I just told her that, and she basically said that she was going to tell the main boss like what I said, and there was a misunderstanding that I'm just really eager to work and I'm willing to do whatever you guys want in order for me to be successful at the job. That's what I thought she was going to share, okay, with the main boss. But apparently she told the boss that after she said I've cried at this job because it's been so stressful, I said, really? That's interesting, because when I applied for the job on Indeed, it does say this, and I'm going to screenshot it. And if it's still up, I'm going to screenshot it. I'm going to put it on the screen. On the Indeed listing, it said that this job is really good for people who are elderly and for people who are returning back to work, such as like, you know, people who have been out of the workforce for a minute, stay-at-home moms, whoever. So in comparison to this job being so stressful that has made me cry, I thought that was interesting, because on the Indeed listing, it said that this is a good job for the elderly. That doesn't mean that I thought that I was going to be kicking my feet up and not doing anything. Duh! Oh my gosh, it made me so mad. Like, it made me so mad that she took that comment that she was telling me in an intimate conversation when she had talking about how she had went home crying because the job had been so stressful. I did not think, she told everybody. She literally told all of the bosses that I said that I thought that this was going to be an easy office job. An easy office job? What? Why would I say that at work? Does that make any sense? It doesn't. It doesn't. Oh my gosh. I just cannot believe. I cannot believe it. Along with other comments. I'm like, what are the other comments? I was there for 5 days. What could I possibly have said other than me? I'm gonna be honest. It's an HOA management company. Okay, so if you're a homeowner, you guys know how the HOA can be. Okay, they can be very nitpicky, very stingy. And so there were some things that I would see like on people's accounts, like let's say, you know, you got a letter in the mail saying that you owe $75 because, you know, you need to replace something on the outside of your house, right? And you ignore the letter. They will send you another letter in the mail, but this letter that you didn't ask for will cost you $50 on top of the fee that you already have to pay for whatever is wrong. And I'm just like, wow, they charge you for sending a letter in the mail that you didn't even ask for. So I'm thinking, was it those comments? Like, I'm just like, it's the same thing with the other job. Like, it's, if you don't say it directly, I have to prioritize my mental energy, and I'm just like, I cannot sit here and think about what I said. And if I did say something and I'm just talking to somebody and I'm having a conversation, what kind of people are you that you would go back and tell people and tell the boss that I said something bad, like with malicious intent? When you, the person I was talking to, you heard the tone of my voice. You know the context of the conversation. So why are you going back and reporting that I'm maliciously, I just can't. Like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. So yeah, I worked there for 5 days and that was the last job. So, and I want to point out that I was on time every single day to that job. okay? I was not late because I am capable of change when I know I'm wrong, okay? So, except for Friday, that last day I was late because I was so on time, okay, that one of those days I got there earlier than everybody else and I was standing out in the cold, okay? And it's November in DFW, it's cold outside. And so she told me, the lady, but we were gonna be the only 2 people in the building that day. And so I asked her, because I didn't have a key to get into the building, what time should I get there? She was like, do not get there earlier than 8:20 because she won't be there. So we were supposed to get there between the time of 8 a.m. and 8:30. She told me not to get there any earlier than 8:20 because she wasn't gonna get there until like 8:20-ish. And so there would have been nobody to open the door for me. And so I got there at 8:33. I did. I was 3 minutes late. Look, y'all, once again, I'm not an air traffic controller. I don't control the traffic. I just try my best. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's where we are today. Job number 3. And yeah, so in the meantime, stay strong. Bye, guys.